Welcome back to Jerk Block Talk. I'm Jason Fernandez. We're here at CrossFit Rife, and I want to talk about something today, which is how to spell the word pursue, and it is not like that. Okay, I blame that one on MC. We have to do some spell checking here, but anyway, if you'll notice this busy wall back behind me, we kind of made this wall a couple of months ago, and it was after we finished the whole exercise of building our mission, our vision, and then our core values. And I've talked a little bit about like why it's important to define this kind of stuff. So I'll walk you through ours a little bit, and it's not so much important that you kind of understand ours, but that you understand that the importance is that you define it, and then more importantly, how do you go about doing this exercise? So our mission is do the right things for the right people, for the right reasons, by pursuing excellence and providing great customer service. So we stole a little bit of that from Coach Glassman, just because it's really, really good shit. And that kind of feeds into the vision, which is excellence. So again, the mission feeds to the vision, and our vision has kind of two pieces to it. It's internal and external, or think about inward facing and outward facing. And the inward-facing stuff is empathy, efficiency, exploration, and exploitation. And then the external or outward-facing piece is going to be education, environment, entertainment, and equipment. So you can kind of see that the inward-facing stuff is for us as a team, and the outward-facing stuff is stuff that the members or the customers would experience. And then the core values, which are over here, are give a fuck, at least one. Remove the barriers. It's not what you did, it's what you do. And teamwork makes the dream work, and accountability facilitates success. And again, it's not so much what they are, but it's two things are a little bit more important. It's that you defined them, and then arguably this is the most important piece, is how you went about defining them. And I say that because of this. I pretty much came up with the mission, and then after that, I was predominantly the one who came up with the vision, but we did a lot of discussion with regard to that. I watch a lot of TED Talks and stuff like that, so I took pieces and parts of it, but then we went back and forth as a group and discussed like the importance of excellence, and then how the internal and external pieces worked. And then where we went back and forth as a team, and we created the core values together, and that took a couple weeks where we went back and forth, just moving back and forth. I think we started with about 10 or 12 core values, and then we finally whittled it down to 5 after going back and having a lot of debate about what we wanted it to be. And here's why that's important. If you might be the gym owner or the head coach or the business owner, and if you create all of this stuff in kind of a dictator fashion, nobody really has any buy-in. They have no reason to follow those rules or follow that vision or have any buy-in on the core values. But when you create this together, now everybody has buy-in. If you guys haven't read the 4 disciplines of execution, and going back to this, another thing they talk about in extreme ownership is just buying and people understanding. So if your team doesn't understand any of this stuff, and if you just made it all and threw it on top of everybody, they're not going to buy into it, and you're not going to be able to apply any of this to anybody. So it's not going to matter if it's the coolest core values in the world. If they weren't a part of actually building it, by and large, it's useless. But in the 4 disciplines of execution, they talk about buy-in, and then if they understand it and they have full buy-in of what it is, and more importantly, they were part of the creation of it, they are far more likely to live by that set of rules, at which point it will be outward facing or external to people who are coming into your business and coming into your team, more importantly. So from a coach's standpoint, this is important because going through this exercise with your team is kind of how you start building your team and kind of how you start making sure that you get the right people on the bus so that you can move forward. So I think it's really, really important that this is something that you do together as a team. You get everybody's input. It should not solely come from you. You should drive it because if you're the head coach or you're the business owner, like it is your baby. So it should, it should kind of start with you and then trickle down. And then from there, this stuff here, the core values, the vision and stuff like that, that is actually the execution. The vision is the execution of the mission that you've kind of cast. And one thing that I found out that I was really bad at a couple years ago was kind of this whole like vision casting and kind of explaining to people what it is so that you have buy-in. So I did a lot of kind of introspective stuff and figuring out how to get better at that, and then figured out that you don't really have to be super creative about it. You just have to include other people in the conversation and those people that you trust, and then you can come up with this really cool stuff. And then, by and large, this is the stuff that we live by every day. I mean, these are the things that every single scenario that comes up in the gym, we can trace it right back to here. And this is that thing where people say, well, what happened when X happened? And you'd be like, well, based on our core values, this would have been the right decision. And that is ultimately how you know if you've kind of gotten this thing right, is that these kind of, these big ticket items that you've created will guide all decisions. And it's a really cool thing to see that once you guys take the time, and this takes months sometimes. I think we started this whole process in, I want to say like January or February, and I don't think we like had everything done, defined, and agreed upon until like April or May. So it was like a 5-month process that we went through during our monthly staff meetings, and we just hashed all this stuff out. And I would tell you that like there should be a little bit of some heated debate there about it. If there's not, you're probably not digging in deep enough to find something that's actually useful to people. So super, super important. And the important thing is that you do it together. Okay, people, when they do it together, they feel they've had a part of the creative process. They're going to be in, and they're going to be all in all the time. And I think it's super important to not forget that as a leader, that you can't just throw rules and stuff on top of people and expect people to just buy in blindly. Some people will do that, but for the most part, as a leader, people need to have buy-in, and if you give them part of the creative process, they're going to be in and they're going to live this stuff. And that's the important piece, is that they live this, and if they're part of it, they really, really, really love it, and it'll be good for you. So that's ours. Again, you can do it however you want, but the important piece is that do it together as a team. It should be, there's some fun ways to do it, get in there. Usually when we do stuff like this, it's usually over dinner and a lot of beers and stuff like that, and that's when all the ideas start flowing. So get it done. I think it's one of those things that's super important. It takes a lot of time. It doesn't seem like it's something that would take a lot of time, but it takes a lot of discussion and a lot of going back and forth and like, is this really a useful core value, and does it actually apply? And then at the end, you do this kind of sanity check, and like, do they all feed each other? Does the mission feed the vision, which then falls in line with the core values? And are these things that can guide any and all decisions every day? So I think it's important, define it and then do it together. If you haven't read The 4 Disciplines of Execution, really, really good book. Connor, if you could just put a link up there for like Amazon, or just put the cover for the book up there on the link, and or a picture of it right there so people know what it looks like. Really good. It's kind of a nerdy book, but that's okay. But anyway, give it a read. Hope this helps. If you have any more questions about kind of how we went about this, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you find this stuff useful. And remember, that is not how you spell pursue or pursuing. MC. And MC has a master's degree. Can't spell pursuing. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it.